Good morning. Kalimera. I like the way I also lift up my hand as if you're all rather deaf. You know, I've got a terrible sense of humor and a lot of people don't understand it. I have dark humor, very dark humor, black humor. I haven't been here for a long time on here because Roman, my husband, had a very big op. He had a triple bypass. It was very sudden and very scary. I'm telling you, I was in a state. But once again, thank you, God. He has performed a miracle and my husband is still with us. It's been nearly 2 months now and he's been home for about a month and a bit and getting better slowly. It was terrible, and thank the Lord also. I would like to thank God and Jesus for giving me Taryn as a child. Everyone thinks their child is wonderful. But I know my child is wonderful. What this child has been through since he was a little girl is rather horrendous. It has been filled with illness, mine, my sister's, with a lot of problems in the family, and also with the death of her father, I'm very superstitious. With the death of my mother and my little sister and her Uncle Alex and our friend Mirto. There's been just so many deaths. My friend Kostaki, our friend, Pizza. Oh, there've been so many sad things. And then of course there's always, I got cancer, I was dying. Got COVID last year, I was not around for June. I woke up the 1st of July, I was dying. And now her dad got so ill. Do you know what? This girl, or young lady, as somebody just told me, she has carried all of us on her shoulders like a champion. She has been like a son to us, but she has been the biggest present God gave us and the biggest sunshine of our whole life. I have been having a lot of bronchitis, so I couldn't go to hospital a lot. I was very lucky. I have a lot of good friends. I want to thank Melanie and Ken. I would like to thank Pauline, Sharon, Elpida, Charlene all the way from Ireland, Elvira, my cousins, Ari, Andrea, Stelitza, Matula, Akimu, Eleftheriamu, everybody, and all our friends, many friends. Elpidamu, my friend Elpida, who's my little sister, love. and my sister all showed so much care. And they kept us going. Unfortunately, Roman has come out well in health, but with a lot of post-traumatic stress. I was the one always in ICU. I was the one always dying. He got very scared when they were trying to wake him up. He was on a ventilator for 3 days. That scared him because his hands were tied up. And he does get anxiety attacks. And he's finally allowed the doctor to give him something for sleep. He now has a huge bucket of medication, together with my bucket of education, my bucket of medication. So our house is like a chemist that's been around for 50 years because it's so full. We are also hoarders, so you know. So I couldn't go also because of COVID. Only one person was allowed in ICU at the time. And even though my friend Ken, these people that I've mentioned as my friends, and my friend Kiki, and Angela, and the family, and Pepe, and Ioana, my daughter calls her Ioana, she's actually Ioana and Thea, and all the Greeks in Springs, and many other English people have all stood beside us. My friend Melanie has been my friend since the first week I came to South Africa, and I have to light a smoke. Excuse me. Ooh, that's another thing. Roman hasn't smoked yet for nearly 2 months. And he comes into the room because now he sleeps in the next door bedroom because obviously his cut is too big and he can't turn, etc. But I think it's also because I snore so much. Mwah! Snore! Oh my Lord! My breath comes out like little angels playing the harp. Except that I nearly stop the CPF patrols with the loud noise I make. So he comes into the room and says, it stinks. It stinks of tobacco. However, something interesting for you non-smokers always tells me to quit. And you're doing the right thing, you know. I should stop being an ancient steam engine. The cardiothoracic surgeon, and I was in that meeting because we all had to have a meeting the day before the op, he said to Roman, I would never ask you to stop smoking because you've been smoking for over 50 years, but you have to cut down. So now there's a huge decision to make. Keep on saying to Roman, are you going to smoke? Because then I've got to strike quit. Oy vey, oy vey, 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 vey. When I quit, the whole of South Africa will hear about it because I know my temper. Whenever I get stressed, as you can see, I've put on weight because actually when I'm not stressed as well, I love my chocolates. So that I will let you know about. A little bit of Greek here. Θέλω να πω ευχαριστώ στα ξαδέρφια μου, στη Στελίτσα, τον Άρη, τον Αντρέα, τις γυναίκες τους, τα παιδιά τους, την Ελευθερίτσα, τον Άκη μου, τη Ματούλα μου, σε όλους τα ξαδέρφια μου, τα αγαπημένα.
You have received a new
Έπαιρνα
WhatsApp message.
τηλέφωνο και μου στέλναν μηνύματα να δούνε τι κάνει ο Ρόμαν. You know, there's only my sister here and I and Roman and 3 children. In the whole of South Africa, we have no family. But you know, family doesn't have to be by blood, but in South Africa. If tomorrow I could open my eyes and wake up in Greece or Poland, and here again I would like to thank my sister-in-law Irene, my brother-in-law Janusz, my nephew Peter, Piotrek and his wife and child, and all the family of Roman that have also given me strength, given Roman strength and Taryn and George strength as well. And of course a huge thank you goes out not only to Taryn but to my George as well. George, my son-in-law, I am very proud of him, and I'm proud to announce to the whole world that he has been accepted and is busy with his masters with the University of Liverpool in the UK, and he got a huge, you know when they give you, I can't think of the word now, a huge grant, that's right, huge grant towards his studies by the university. But he's got a lot of other things that make him special, especially his heart and his soul and his amazing belief in God, which also helped us. We prayed a lot. So, είπα για τα ξαδελφάκια μου που τα αγαπάω τόσο πολλά, τόσο πολύ. Εδώ αρχίζω και τα λέω σαν τους Κυπραίους, γιατί είμαστε φίλοι και κουμπάροι με πολλούς Κύπριους. Και εκείνοι λέει πολλά καλά. Ναι, τόσο πολλά λένε. Τον πάτερ επίσης, τους πατέρες Πασκάλ, George, Pater George, Kokotos and Pater George from Agio Costantino and Agia Eleni, and also Pater Yosif from the monastery in Arizona. Τώρα καταλαβαίνεις ακριβώς ποιοι αγαπάνε και ακριβώς πριν νοιάζονται. Ελπίζω να είπα την Άντζελα και τον Κόρολο και τα παιδιά, γιατί δεν θυμάμαι τι είπα κιόλας, να σας πω την αλήθεια. You know, my brain is getting worse, so I would like you to excuse me. I forget very often. I don't even remember much of what I said in the first chapter of my book. And actually this is the prologue to the second chapter of my book. But it's a rather long prologue. I have people sending me messages every day for which I help with prayers and love. With wonderful friends. Oh, I love Dawncy, I love Tini, I love Corey, I love Mary Ann, I love. I wish I could stand in the main road in Springs and give hugs to all the people I love, but the line would be a lot because I love a lot of people, but very special people. Okay, so my memory has gone very badly. I am trying my hardest to do a lot of brain exercises to keep it going as well as possible. I am getting help via my doctors, my rheumatologist, my oncologist, and also my therapists, of how to try and keep the Alzheimer's from taking over quicker. I don't have Alzheimer's. No, 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 no. I have an old brain that's been befuddled by lots of pills. I'm not an addict. I'm only an addict with chocolate and cigarettes. Λοιπόν, σας αγαπώ πολύ όλους. Και όλους το Σοχό και όλους. Πολλά φιλάκια. Φανούλα, κύριε Γιώργο, κύριε Στέλιο, Εύα, Μαρία, ξάδελφε Σάκη, ξάδελφε Λάκη. Όλους, όλους, όλους. Σας αγαπώ. And now I'm going to start the second chapter of my verbal book, or of my oral book. Okay, I must be very honest. At this moment, I can't think of which word is correct. So we shall just carry on. So in the first chapter, we spoke about my grandparents on my mother's side and what the Greeks went through in Asia Minor, which is what is called the modern Turkey today, which the Turks took from the Greeks. Just had to underline that, okay? And that is the biggest problems between the Greeks and the Turks. The Turks just want everything of Greece. They wish that Greece just did not exist. But then again, I have the most amazing homeland, which is a bit of paradise in the world. It's got the most beautiful sea and beaches and mountains. You can ski, you can swim. It's just a diamond in the middle of all the oceans and the seas of the world. So chapter 2. My granny, grandpa and her mother and sister, when they finally arrived in Piraeus, they were sent to a place called Neos Cosmos, New World, which is further, much further, and after the columns of the gods of Olympus, Zeus columns, you could say, in Athens. My aunt, my granny and grandpa's second child, Theocharitza, was born there. But when she was very young, maybe up to 40 days old, like I said, my memories might have a problem with dates, because after all, I heard all these until I would say about 40 years ago. After that, I haven't heard the stories. Well, from my mother. And she was born there. And then they were given refugee homes in a place called New Philadelphia. When they say new before a name of a Greek suburb, it means they were names brought over from Asia Minor. Okay. So they put all the people from Asia Minor in this place, which had homes, different homes. They all looked the same, but each one made it different. And it was near a river which was called the Feet Washer, the Podonifti, and that was near Philadelphia. All these refugees have made Philadelphia through all the years, many years ago, look like the Garden of Athens. slowly with her own heart, blood, sweat and tears. And my grandfather had learned to be a carpenter. So, the families were split up, and my grandparents had cousins that followed different professions. My granny's cousins worked for the palace as seamstresses. My granny had learnt all the time spent in the forced marches, etc., to learn to be a seamstress. We had cousins that ended up working for the National Bank. Well, my granny's cousins, my grandfather's cousins as well. And I mentioned about the palace purely because the story carries on about the palace when it comes to my granny and grandpa, my uncle Vageli Evangelist, and my auntie Hariklia Fiacharitsa. And there they lived for many, many years until my mother was born in 1938. Excuse me. Many years after her sister and her brother. I don't want to lie, okay, but I will have to say this. My mother was a late, like a menopause baby. So she was, I think, 12 years younger than her sister and 14 years younger than her brother. Maybe more or less. So she was brought up basically like an only child. My grandfather made the house 2 stories. On the top was a huge house for him, my granny and their children, and underneath was his mother-in-law and his sister-in-law. My grandfather performed and worked with beautiful carpentry. He made beautiful, what's the word? Designs on furniture. When I think of the right word, I'll say it. And also got a job at the palace making playgrounds that would be under the protection of Queen Frederica and her husband. I don't remember his name, okay. You've got to understand one thing before I carry on. Like I said about my humor, it might come up sometimes when it's not meant to be funny. But sometimes my brain handles things with humor. So I might appear rather retarded emotionally, but I'm not. My emotional EQ is very good. So, they worked and they carried on working until 1938. My mom was born, and very soon after that, the Second World War started. Greece was first taken over by the Italians. What the Italians asked from Greece is that Greece allows them to go through Greece to get to the other Balkan, etc. And the Greek Prime Minister in those years, his name was Metaxan, he said, "Ochi, no." and therefore we were involved in war. The Italians that took over Greece, a lot of them were very kind. The house that was corner with corner, the back gardens were right next to each other, of my grandfather, it was a doctor's house, became the commander's house of the Italian army. My mother was 2 years old. When she started remembering, she remembered the kindness of the Italians. The Italians used to sit at nights and play mandolin and drink their wine, especially in Greece in the beautiful weather. Then they used to ask the piccolo, which was the small one, my mother, to get up on the table and sing for them. And they also taught her Italian songs and a lot of Italian words. They were always ready with an orange, some fruit or something for the little children that, was walking past, etc. In those years there were no walls in the front of the houses. Unfortunately, the Germans came after this. We all know the atrocities the German race committed against all of humanity, especially the Jewish people, the Gypsies, the Poles, the Greeks, the Italians. If I carry on, I'll have to tell the whole world. So Germany got together with Japan and decided we are going to be the greatest in the world, because Germany was ruled by, Italy was ruled by Il Duce. He was a dictator, and Hitler and him had signed a peace treaty, which Hitler didn't keep. And funnily enough, the sister of Sophia Loren, the famous Hollywood actress, was married to the dictator's son. I found that when I was growing up. And then the madman came in power. He took power. The man mad with the weird hairstyle and the funny moustache, who suffered a huge persecution complex, and he was a narcissist, a psychopath, and everything bad that you can think of. Hitler. We cannot keep it against the German people about Hitler. That wouldn't be Christian or politically correct. Though I must admit, I'm not politically correct. Just get used to me, okay? Yeah. I say things as they are. If you don't want to talk to me, never talk to me again. The story goes that Hitler was actually either somehow related, or his mother was actually Jewish. And the doctor who looked after his mother was Jewish, and when she died too soon, he decided to cleanse the world of Jewish people. I will never forget that, and I'll tell you why. It affected the whole world. There was a lot of problems. The Germans took over Athens. However, I will state here that Hitler said they can bomb wherever they want, but none of the Greek ancient ruins, like our holy rock, the Acropolis, the Parthenon and that. That's the only good thing he had in his favor. There are other stories I could say there that are terrible. But I will tell you quite a few from my family. I might not be correct by year and the way I tell you the stories, but they all happened. So number one was my grandfather's saving 3 Jewish children. He was in Thessalonica, which is the second biggest city in Greece, and he found 3 Jewish children hiding in a park. Their parents had been taken to the concentration camp and made the kids hide. What are you going to do with 3 Jewish children? Because on the train, on the way to Thessalonica, it was very cold, and the German soldiers offered my grandfather socks made out of the Jewish people's hair to keep his feet warm. That's why he couldn't leave those Jewish children there. He put them in different baskets. Baskets have a lot of help, gave a lot of help to my family. And he took them slowly to their uncle. Their uncle was hiding. He was Jewish. He said he wants nothing to do with him. So my grandfather decided there and then they are going to be my children, and he took them to Athens with him. And the story went around, even to the German, that this is his family that has come over from Asia Minor. He cut the top floor of the house, his floor, to make space for Paulette, David, and I think the other brother's name was Isaac. Once again, I might be wrong. My mother was very small. And they lived there for a long time, till after the war. On the bad side, my grandmother's first cousin had married... Wait, no, it wasn't my grandmother's first cousin. It was my great-grandmother's brother had married a German lady from Windhoek in South Africa. That's another story how they got down here. And she hated the Jewish children. So I'll never forget, she used to say, Kamari masto hermano, busco ton evreo. He used to say, our pride is the Germans that kill the Jews. My family was pro-Jewish, and they will always be. Israel. Pro-Israel. Just know it, okay? Don't tell me. About Palestine, nothing. Whatever Israel believes, I believe. And I'm not talking, obviously, religion, but even their religion I respect very much. So, she always was in a tiz about the Jewish children. My mother got very close with Paulette, because by that time, my aunt, my mother's sister, had gotten married. No, wait. First was the Second World War. It wasn't the marriage yet. During the Second World War, my aunt, my uncle, and my grandfather joined the resistance, as many other Greeks did too. Let us not forget there were 2 resistances in every country of Europe. There was the communist resistance and the ordinary resistance. They joined the ordinary resistance, and I will have to pause here for a bit. Kindly.
Thank you, George.
I will have to pause here because somebody has come to visit. However, I don't know where is the pause button. So I shall ask my daughter, and don't laugh at me, Taryn, to come and help me pause this. I can't put it off because then I